Hi, and welcome back to the Switch Show. We are okay. Before I go into the conversation that we have for today, I just thought about this. How it is that the past couple of episodes have just been one word. I don't know if there's something in me that is calling forth, or is just obsessed with making series now. Maybe there's a series in the future, not even maybe, there is a series in the future on the progression of life. I will call it that. I probably will not call it that by the time I'm recording those episodes. I probably won't call it the progression of life, but yeah, there's a series ahead. But there's something in me that just calls out a series because it's a way for me to flesh out thoughts. And you're asking yourself, oh, are we in a series now? No, we are not in a series. We're in a series of one word titles. But this is not a coherent thought that is flowing from one place to another. Maybe it is. Maybe you can find the connecting points. You can find places of what's of trans man, I forgot what the adjective is or what the adverb should be. But maybe you can find transverse lines. Since these episodes are running parallel, maybe there's a transverse line cutting across them. Whatever it is, I hope that you're gleaning a thing or two from all of the episodes. And I hope that it's contributes in some way to the conversations that you're having in the present. It informs your choices, either in a critical way or in a helpful way. It makes you or helps you to reevaluate some of the choices you might have made in the past. It helps you to consider some of your long held convictions, if they are worth holding on to, or if they should be strengthened more than they already are. And gives you a buffer for the conversations that you're going to have in the future. That is my hope. That is the point of all of this. The three core tenets of this podcast is debunking myths, stopping false dogmas, and being relatable. Right? Being relatable because I'm talking to human beings, not wood. Anyway, today we're talking about acceptance. Acceptance. And I want to do two things. If my mind doesn't take multiple segues, we're going to focus on two things. The first being accepting who you are, like coming to accept who you are, and that has to do with identity crisis and all of that. I'm going to keep this one abreast. Is abreast the word? I don't think abreast is the word. I don't know why I just chuck words up out of nowhere. What I want to say is I'll keep it short. This is an expository one. I don't need to tell you that. You already know what it is. I'm going to do my very best to keep it short so that the conversation carries on with you and in you, so that you can have the conversation with whoever you have the conversation with, even with yourself. A little bit of soliloquy doesn't kill anyone. I hope it doesn't. Anyway, yeah, we're going to talk about identity, what revolves around that. That's one. That's the one part. And then the second one is the flip side of it. What is when does it go away from accepting who you are to just being, what's the word? To just being a fool. Permit me to say it that way, and I think you'll understand as we go ahead. Let's start from the beginning. Acceptance. As Let's relate it from a Christian standpoint. From a Christian standpoint, you've been told that you were made in the image and after the likeness of God. As a Christian, it's one of the things that is chorused, and it's probably one of the earliest memories of Bible study that you have. I'm made in the image and the likeness of God. And then as you grow older, you're made to memorize the book of First Peter, the verse in the book of First Peter chapter 2 verse 9, that you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people, to show forth the wonders of Him who has called you out of darkness into His marvelous light. It's this whole thing that you're made to understand, and I say made to understand because you don't fully understand or grasp what you're saying until later on in life. And this is you, 7 years old, bawling your eyes and your heart out, screaming at the top of your lungs a memory verse because you're afraid that by the time, I mean, if you grew up in a Pentecostal church, strict Pentecostal church, you're afraid that by the time you come next Sunday, you might have forgotten. And when you're put on the spot to recite the memory verse, you do not remember. And then you have to deal with laughs and embarrassment, public embarrassment. To add insult to injury, you probably not be giving biscuits while everybody's collecting biscuit at the end of Sunday service. You are looking. They say you didn't remember memory verse, so you're not taking biscuits. You know. Anyway, I don't think it happened to me, but it happened to a lot of other kids. Maybe it happened to me and I just can't remember. Maybe, I don't know. But it happened to a lot of other kids. That one I'm sure of. That one I am very sure of. But you scream these things, or you screamed those verses over and over and over and over again. And then you get into adolescence, and then things start changing. The first thing that changes is your body. As a kid, everybody has almost the same type of voice. Boys, girls, everybody has a high pitched voice. It's the fourth octave of the soprano. Everybody can damn near hit a whistle note. But then you start getting into puberty and adolescence, and the boys are having deeper voices. Some people are late bloomers. Some people don't even have a deeper voice. But it becomes a little bit hoarse. It's not as smooth and buttery and high pitched as it used to be. There is some, if not bass, but some baritone to the voice. The chest broaden, everything starts changing. You start having acne, pimple, whatever starts popping up in different spots in your body. For girls, the same thing. They start undergoing this physical biological development and change. And it's a whole thing, because for some boys, for some people, not even just for some boys, for some people, boy or girl, it is, let's say, more favorable, maybe genetically. You don't have as much pimple or acne scarring or dark spots. For some reason, you have the smoothest face. Maybe a pimple shows up here or there with little to no work. Like you don't even do as much skincare or take care of your skin as much, but your skin is glistening. For some reason, it is glistening. And then there's someone else on the other aisle who takes care of their skin and everything, and they wake up and their face is riddled with acne. And then you're having to confront beauty standards. Somewhere in the 2000s, it was being skinny, because every model, every person, every cam girl, I don't think cam girl is the word, apologies, every model, every celebrity, every person of repute was skinny. It was the thing. Everybody was skinny. And then rolling into the 2010s, the Kardashian wave, everybody started wanting curves. People born with natural curves wanted to amplify theirs. There was a rise in plastic surgery, to augment their breasts, their hips, their thighs, everything. Everybody wanted to do that. And then you transfer to the face. They wanted to take away wrinkles, so Botox, and all these things. Beauty standards specifically, women had to confront a lot and a ton of beauty standards, because they were not actually standards. They were beauty trends, right? I'll call them beauty trends. And that's the thing with trends. There is a crest and a trough. It ebbs and flows. It's never static. It is never static. Think of trends as something in biology, the graph of microbial growth. From the from the 0 point, from point zero, you have the start phase, and it goes up, pew, and then it hits a crescendo, and it just continues. They call that phase the lag or stationary phase, when nothing is really happening. It seems like it has hit its peak. Everybody now sees it as a norm, and then it starts declining. That's the decline phase. And all of a sudden, no, everybody now is on Ozempic. Everybody's trying to get slimmer. Nobody wants to be thick anymore. It's like, oh, the people who made you go under the knife, some people lost their lives to plastic surgery because they were trying to get it through crooked means, because they couldn't afford the expense. It is very expensive, not just to undergo the procedure, but to maintain. It is very expensive, and people lost their lives to this. Now we're in the decline phase, and nobody wants to be thick anymore. Everybody who once said they never had plastic surgery starts coming out saying, oh yes, I had lip fillers, I've taken them out. I had butt implants, I've taken them out. I had breast implants, I've taken them out. Now everybody is all of a sudden reversing. Now for the people who do not have the money to reverse theirs, what are they going to do? So the reason why this episode is particularly important to me is because society dictates to a large extent how we view ourselves, and many times we don't think of it as anything. We don't understand the gravity. We don't understand how true that statement is. We don't understand how much society, and when I say society, I don't mean the world out there, like the distant world, because when you say society, people tend to think, oh yeah, it's folks that you don't really see. You only see them from behind the screen. I'm talking about the one close to you. And I'm not just talking about the one close to you, like your neighbors. I'm talking about your family. They play a huge role in how you perceive yourself. They play a huge role in how you perceive yourself. I'm fortunate enough to be teaching kids, secondary school children, and sometimes when I hear the conversations that they have, when they're talking to me about the conversation they had with siblings, with friends, with parents, sometimes, right, I smile. Right? And to be very honest, sometimes it gets overwhelming for me, because I'm trying to be this open teacher that you can come to me with not just academic problems, but with problems of life. Set a healthy boundary, because I'm not your brother, I'm not your friend, but I can be a guide of some sort, right? I can be a guide of some sort. And then when these kids are raving on about how, oh, when they were 10 years old, now these kids are like from 10 to 16. That's the age range of these secondary school kids, maybe even 9 to 16. No, 10 to 16, yeah, definitely 10 to 16. Now these kids are going off and on about, oh, when I was 10, no, like 12 years old, when I was 10, I was walking, somebody told me that my head was too big, or my leg is too big, and I just laughed them. I told them, your own leg is bigger than your head, and they laugh it off. And I laugh with them, right? I laugh. I don't really say much. But sometimes when they are not laughing, they come and they ask me, Mr. Malise, is my leg big? Like, they're obviously talking about their calves. And I'm like, no, it's perfectly normal. It's perfectly normal. Be like, so why is somebody saying that this, that and I'm wondering, this was something that you were laughing about the other day. Why is it now a bone of contention? Obviously, I don't voice out that concern. I'm just like, you know what? Don't listen to them. Your legs are perfect the way they are, okay? And if it's a boy, if it's a girl, they light up and smile and say thank you and run away. And sometimes they'll go, if the person is close to them, they'll say, hey, Mr. Malisa said that my legs are perfect the way they are, and then they go off. And it has taught me something about positive talk and what people say around you. And the reason why this is heavy on me is because I'm going to be a father in no distant time, in the near future. I'm going to be a dad, and the list of things I say, if I, God forbid, I say to my son, "Oh no, why does your nose look like that?" And it's not in, oh, like, "Oh, look at you, you look so fine, such a handsome boy with your beautiful eyes, your immaculate nose, look at your eyebrows and everything," and I'm going off and on. Now, if I don't build up his identity so much so that, you know he obviously has to come to an understanding. He obviously has to come to an understanding that he is beautiful, or he's immaculate, or for my daughter, she's beautiful, she's pretty. But at the beginning, I have to contribute to that understanding, that they should accept who they are, their identity. And then the flip side of it is being narcissistic, right? Being so full of yourself that you don't recognize your blind spots. That is the flip side of it. All right, that's the flip side. You are so consumed by, "Oh, I'm the best, I'm good," and everything. And the one thing I'll say is, acceptance is acceptance is a tricky balance. It's something that you have to be very watchful of, because you want to be content with who you are. You want to be satisfied with what you've done and where you are, where you're headed. You want to be content with where you are. At the same time, you want to be open to criticism, because here's the thing: you will not be the best. You will never be the best at what you do. And if you are the best, you have to keep striving to maintain that place. So if it's something where you were striving and striving and you get to the top, you have to stop. It's no longer a thing of, oh, it's not a thing of, oh, I've gotten here, I might as well rest. It becomes a thing of maintenance, and sometimes even bigger pushes, like, or smaller surges every now and then. It's maintenance. And that's the thing a lot of people do, or some people do. When you've strived, you've worked hard, maybe you didn't like how you looked and everything, and then you've now built a positive image. Now what you're supposed to do is maintain that image of yourself. That's one. Do not let yourself fall into the other extreme of being so full of yourself that people who are suffering from the same thing, you become ignorant to their plight. Like, you no longer consider someone who's going through something that you once went through, right? And it's not the thing where you have worked on yourself so much that you think that you're now downright perfect. I repeat, nobody, I say I repeat, I've not even said it. Nobody's perfect, and I repeat, nobody is perfect. But this is the caveat: everybody's striving towards perfection. As Christians, the Bible says, God saying in the Bible, "Be ye perfect, for your heavenly Father is perfect." Now that is a tall order, that is a big ask. But it's not something that is impossible, because you have the Holy Spirit. Now you're striving towards perfection. For people who are non-believers, they are still striving towards perfection, towards their perfect self. They're still striving. They're still striving. So there is room for constant improvement. Yes, you love who you are. Yes, you have come into the fullness of yourself and the fullness of your identity. You've embraced yourself, how you look, how you feel, everything. Brilliant, beautiful. There is room for improvement. You can always get better, because if everything has extremes. If you're always going after the next. You've gotten something, I can be better. You've gotten something, I can be better. That's a good mindset. It also has its extreme, where you never attain any form of satisfaction. You never attain any form of satisfaction. At least, maybe not satisfaction. You never attain any form of contentment. Because contentment and satisfaction are different things. Satisfaction is the feeling or the sensation that comes with fulfillment. Fulfilling the hunger in your stomach, fulfilling a task that was in front of you, and fulfilling your life's purpose. That is satisfaction. Satisfaction comes at the tail end of being full. But contentment is whether you are full or not, you are permit me to use the word to define the word. You are contented. You are, I would say, satisfied, but that defeats the contrasting ideology I'm trying to pose. But you take comfort in knowing that you can be better, but it's not something to die over or to kill yourself over. I don't know if that makes any sense. I hope I've been able to juxtapose the two ideas I've been trying to pass for the past 20 something minutes. Yeah, thank you for coming along on this episode. If anything, let me know if there are things you don't quite agree with. Let me know. Our messages are open for all of your reservations, critics, every single thing. Let me know. Thank you all for listening, and thank you all for we recently hit 2,500 plays and downloads. Generally, I said it only took us like 5.5 years, more like five years and 10 months. But hey, who's counting? I'm counted. Thank you all so much for all the love, for all the support, and I am truly blessed and grateful to have you all as my audience, to have you all listening. For everybody who returns, thank you so much. I'm grateful for all of you. Until next time, flip the switch and illuminate. I'll see you around. Deuces.